we have about a $500 million of Ethereum in our balance sheet, and we own 70% of artificial intelligence. And we think and we know we're uniquely positioned to be in the intersection of the two greatest investment arcs of our time, which is digital assets and artificial intelligence.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Sam Tabar. He is the CEO of BitDigital. And Sam, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, exciting news out from the company. You've delivered your annual letter to shareholders, and in it you really described the change the company made in 2025 that set you on this new course. So why don't we take a step back and talk about 2025 and the decision you made and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, we felt that we were a Bitcoin miner, and we felt that that was not a good business for a variety of reasons. And we were the first ones to announce that within our sector. We did get a lot of flack for it, but we were right. There isn't a Bitcoin miner that exists right now that hasn't expressed an intention to exit the business or to add to their business, perhaps an HPC or other alpha generating revenue. So we decided to depart and sunset our Bitcoin mining business. And then we also decided to spin off and carve out our HPC AI business, which was doing and continues to do very well. We IPO'd that business. It's called WhiteFiber. The ticker is Wi-Fi. And BitDigital continues to own a controlling stake of WhiteFiber. So we own 70% of WhiteFiber. And then what we've done after we sunset the Bitcoin mining business is that we sold all our Bitcoin, and we bought a bunch of Ethereum. So we have about a $500 million of Ethereum in our balance sheet, and we own 70% of artificial intelligence. And we think and we know we're uniquely positioned to be in the intersection of the two greatest investment arcs of our time, which is digital assets and artificial intelligence. The digital assets happens to be the Ethereum on our balance sheet, and the artificial intelligence happens to be our controlling stake of 70% of WhiteFiber.
So Sam, what's the long-term strategic goals of this? Like how do you see things moving forward from here on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I personally am not satisfied with the performance from a share price perspective with respect to BitDigital. And so we've decided, instead of just being a digital asset treasury company, which is basically just being a passive holder of Ethereum on your balance sheet. And what we are now is just a passive holder of Ethereum in our balance sheet and a passive holder of WhiteFiber. Of course, we do generate yield out of our Ethereum. We stake our Ethereum for about 3%. It's still not enough for us, and we intend to this year to be sure that we perhaps get involved in M&A or other activities in which we are having a proper EBITDA in our business at BitDigital, so people can put proper multiples instead of just measuring it on whether we're at a premium or at a discount to NAV. It's much better to have proper EBITDA's multiples on your business line so that people can calculate the growth trajectory. And I think that's a much more exciting story.
Yeah. In the news, in the release that I was reading of your letter, you talked in there about getting to the point where you can self-fund yourself, and that, obviously protects shareholders and things like that. Can you talk to me about that part of it?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. First, we've decided not to sell our WhiteFiber shares. So there's a lockup that expires on February 6th, and we are legally entitled to sell down our shares of WhiteFiber. That would be attractive from a financial perspective because we can monetize some of our holding of WhiteFiber. But we've decided not to do that because we believe, and we're very excited by the future of WhiteFiber. And so we think it would be premature to do any such selling. Secondly, in terms of being self-funded, although we do have about 3.5% of yield off a $500 million of Ethereum, that's not enough. And that's why we think buying a business or continuing capital allocation and operational excellence in a way that's alpha, in a way that doesn't depend on the beta of the market, in a way that doesn't depend on whether Ethereum goes up or whether our state or the valuation of WhiteFiber goes out. It has to be more powerful than the general markets of these things that we don't exactly control. And so we would like to see that happen. And that's what I mean by being self-funded and more.
Okay. And Sam, also, lastly, I want to talk to you about AI specifically because is the message to shareholders, because really AI is still, even though it's been around for a while, it's still fairly young in what you're talking about here. So it's really sort of at the beginning of a story and not in the middle or nearing an end.
Absolutely. I mean, we just IPO'd WhiteFiber in early August of last year, and
Yeah.
that business is on fire. We have more reverse inquiries than when we know what to do with. And one of the reasons for that is because we have a very special moat. We have the ability to retrofit facilities and turn them into data centers within 6 months. And that's very different from a greenfield approach when you're starting from scratch, which takes about 2 years. So we're able to do it much cheaper and much faster than others. And we've been able to execute on that. We have clients like Cerebras. We just signed an $865 million contract just a few weeks ago with Nscale. We're getting all this business because of our retrofit ability, where we can do things 2 times faster and 40% cheaper. And so that is something that's very interesting. And the people who are selling picks and shovels in artificial intelligence are making a lot of money.
Yeah. Sam, thanks so much for giving us an update on where the company is at and really where it's headed, and appreciate your time as well. So thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Sam Tabar, the CEO of Bit Digital.